You were not meant to fit in. You were never designed to shrink your voice, silence your truth, or contort your soul into shapes that make others more comfortable. From the foundations of the earth, I formed you with distinction. You were made to stand apart. You were crafted with intention, not duplication. I placed my breath in your lungs not so you could echo the world, but so you could carry my sound into it. You feel the tension because the world has been asking you to wear costumes I never tailored for you. They handed you expectations, wrapped in shame, and called it identity, but I never demanded that you blend. I never ordained your conformity. I called you holy, and holy means set apart. You have wrestled with the ache of not belonging. You've questioned your value in rooms that could not receive your essence. But I tell you now, the rejection you felt was not a punishment. It was preservation. I was guarding what I had uniquely placed within you. The doors that closed were not doors to your destiny. They were detours away from delusion. I have never asked you to be like them. I called you to be like me. And I am not common. I am not molded by opinion. I am not swayed by popularity. I am the I am. And you are mine. So stop apologizing for your difference. Stop diminishing your fire to make others feel safe in their comfort. Stop believing the lie that your isolation is evidence of error. It is evidence of elevation. I separate before I send. I consecrate before I commission. You are in the in-between not because you are behind, but because I am building you for something that cannot be built on borrowed identity. You were not made to echo culture. You were made to establish kingdom. That is why your voice does not blend with the noise. That is why your convictions feel costly. That is why your very presence agitates what is counterfeit. You were not born to fit in. You were born to shift atmospheres. And that comes with weight. It comes with misunderstanding. It comes with lonely paths. But I walk with you there. I am the God of the wilderness as much as the promised land. I am the voice that thunders in isolation. I am the fire that descends on outcasts. You are not lost. You are hidden. For now. Because I am cultivating something within you that must grow outside the reach of man's manipulation. They would try to brand what I am doing in you. They would try to monetize your mantle. They would try to turn your anointing into a product. So I have kept you close. I have veiled your glory. But make no mistake. What I have planted in secret, I will reveal in power. And when I do, they will know you were never meant to fit in. You were chosen to stand out. You were chosen to disturb the comfort of systems that resist truth. You were chosen to disrupt patterns that exploit the broken. You were chosen to carry light into places where compromise has been normalized. This is why the road has been narrow. This is why the warfare has been unrelenting. This is why you've been tempted to water down the message in order to be accepted by the crowd. But you cannot serve two kingdoms. You cannot crave both my glory and their applause. You were not called to popularity. You were called to power. The kind of power that cannot be faked. The kind of power that breaks chains. Not just inspires emotions. The kind of power that overturns tables and rebuilds altars. I did not put you on this earth to decorate cages of conformity. I sent you to tear them down. You are not a decoration. You are a declaration. Your very existence proclaims my sovereignty in a world that has bowed to lesser gods. Yes, it's lonely. Yes, it's costly. Yes, it hurts to be misunderstood. But do not trade your assignment for acceptance. Do not sell your anointing for applause. You were not made for stages. You were made for surrender. And in that surrender, I will make you a voice. A voice that cuts through deception. A voice that calls dry bones to life. A voice that silences the serpent. They will not understand you. They will mock what they cannot measure. They will despise what they cannot define. But I have marked you. And my mark outweighs their metrics. So rise. Not to blend in, but to blaze. You are the wildfire in a world trying to stay tame. You are the trumpet in the valley of dead dreams. You are the echo of eternity in a generation that has forgotten its origin. You do not belong to them. You belong to me. And I have never fit into boxes. I have never followed formulas. I am the beginning and the end. And your life is a manifestation of my defiance against mediocrity. So do not bow. Do not bend. Do not break for their comfort. Be the collision. Be the contrast. Be the called out one. And when you grow weary from the pressing, from the pruning, from the piercing, remember this: even my son was rejected. Even my son was despised. Even my son stood alone. But he fulfilled purpose. And so will you. Before we continue, if this word is stirring something deep in you, if it's awakening the fire that has been buried under shame and silence, I invite you to like, comment, share, and subscribe. You are not alone in your calling. There is a remnant rising. And your voice matters more than you know. Now, let's go deeper. You were never meant to mirror a world in decay. You were meant to reveal a kingdom in motion. You carry a blueprint from heaven that this earth has never seen. That is why the enemy has tried so hard to confuse you, to distract you, to shame you into silence. Because he fears what will be unleashed when you stop hiding and start walking in divine authority. The warfare was never about your past. It was about your future. It was about the threat you pose when you finally realize who you are. And now the veil is lifting. Now the lies are crumbling. Now your eyes are opening. You are not broken. You are battle-tested. You are not random. You are a remnant. You are not too much. You are perfectly portioned for purpose. Let me remind you, those who fit in with culture rarely transform it. It is the outsiders, the outliers, the overlooked, the underestimated who carry the oil. It is the ones who are willing to walk alone with me who carry the mantle of change. You were not born to be liked. You were born to be light. And light, by its very nature, exposes. That's why they resist you. That's why they critique you. That's why they try to mold you into something more palatable. But I didn't call you to be palatable. I called you to be powerful. I called you to walk in purity when compromise is trending. I called you to speak with clarity when confusion is king. I called you to live with conviction when convenience is the golden calf. So shake off the shame. Shake off the fear. Shake off the pressure to make yourself smaller. You were anointed to stand tall. You were designed to carry weight. You were entrusted with a message that will not die in you. Even when you tried to bury it, even when you tried to silence it, even when you tried to run from it, it found you again, because it was written in you. Before you were born, before you were wounded, before you were labeled, before you were overlooked, I knew you. I marked you. I set you apart. And I am calling you now, not to blend, but to burn. Burn with truth. Burn with justice. Burn with my spirit. You will not be silenced. You will not be drowned in the noise. You will rise. And they will see, not your name exalted, but mine, through your obedience, through your difference, through your refusal to fit in. You were not overlooked. You were hidden. Not because you were unworthy, but because you were not ready. I was protecting you from platforms that would have poisoned you. I was shielding you from visibility that would have seduced your identity. Because what I am building in you cannot be rushed. You are not being punished. You are being prepared. I do not raise up voices overnight. I forge them in the silence. I train them in obscurity. I test them in the fire. And that is what you've been walking through. The fire was not sent to destroy you. It was sent to refine you. To strip off what doesn't belong. To remove the residue of man's approval. To ignite what religion tried to suppress. You are coming out of this season with authority. Not borrowed. Not fake. Not rehearsed. But real. Because you've bled for this. You've wept for this. You've wrestled for this. And now, the tables are turning. You will no longer chase rooms that ignore your presence. You will build the place they never gave you. Because you were not called to sit at their tables. You were called to flip them. You were not created to imitate their models. You were created to embody my kingdom. A kingdom not built on clicks and trends. A kingdom not driven by metrics and branding. But a kingdom that is eternal. And you are a citizen of that kingdom. Act like it. Speak like it. Walk like it. With boldness. With reverence. With fire. I am calling forth the ones who have tried to dim their light to survive. No more. No more apologies. No more retreat. No more self-sabotage. You are not too much. You are just enough for what I created you to carry. You were not meant to fit in. You were meant to be sent out. To go where others fear to go. To speak what others are afraid to say. To build what others refuse to imagine. This is your hour. This is your summons. This is your call to rise. Rise from the fear that held you captive. Rise from the labels that tried to define you. Rise from the wounds that whispered you were unworthy. I have called you by name. You are mine, and what belongs to me cannot be claimed by the world. You've spent too long trying to explain your fire to people who are addicted to lukewarm. You've spent too long asking for permission to be what I already confirmed. You've tried to fit a kingdom identity into a cultural costume, and it does not work. It never will. Because what I placed inside of you cannot be contained by man's expectations. You were not made for their comfort. You were made for my glory. And my glory does not conform. It consumes. It purifies. It transforms. So stop seeking validation from voices that do not carry revelation. Stop seeking peace in places I've already called you out of. You are not lost. You are not behind. You are not broken. You are being recalibrated for a purpose that will not look like theirs. And that's the point. You were not meant to echo their success stories. You were meant to write a new story. One that begins in the secret place. One that carries my weight. One that defies their logic but reveals my love. So I say again, do not bend to fit what I've called you to break. Do not conform to systems I've anointed you to disrupt. You are my vessel. And my vessels are not mass-produced. They are hand-carved in fire. You've been in the fire. But now comes the oil. Now comes the overflow. Now comes the release. And when they see you rise, they will not understand. They will not recognize the quiet hours of obedience. They will not honor the cost of your yes. But I will. And I already have. That is why I have preserved you. That is why I have refined you. That is why I have marked you. Because you were not meant to fit in. You were chosen to lead out. Lead with truth, even when it's inconvenient. Lead with fire, even when it offends. Lead with integrity, even when it costs you connection. I have not called you to be relevant. I have called you to be righteous. And righteousness rarely trends. You were not designed to appeal to the masses. You were designed to awaken the remnant. The hidden ones, the quiet ones, the broken ones. The called but crushed ones. When you speak, it will not tickle ears, it will break chains. When you walk, it will not impress crowds, it will part atmospheres. You don't need their spotlight to validate your call. You don't need their acceptance to fulfill your purpose. I have already commissioned you. Heaven has already recognized you. The scrolls of eternity already contain your name. So why are you waiting for man's invitation? Go. Go into the places that resist my presence. Go into the dark corners that sanitize their sin with empty rituals. Go where they said you don't belong. And take dominion. You do not need to fit in with Pharaoh's court when you were made to part seas. You do not need to imitate Saul's armor when you carry a sling of covenant. You do not need to mimic their methods when you've been anointed with my spirit. You are not second-rate. You are not late. You are not lacking. You have what you need. Because you have me. And I do not send empty-handed. So carry your difference with pride, not pride rooted in ego, but pride rooted in assignment. Your difference is your weapon. Your difference is your signature. Your difference is divine. And I will use it. I will amplify it. I will anoint it until no room can contain it. Until every space you enter shifts. Until every chain you touch shatters. Until every system you speak into either bows or breaks. You were never called to blend in. You were born to break through. They told you that silence was wisdom. They told you to wait your turn. They told you to tone it down. But I never said that. I told you to cry aloud and spare not. I told you to tear down and to build. I told you to be bold as a lion and gentle as a dove. You have tried to please them, and lost yourself in the process. But I am calling you back. Not to the version of you they approved of, but to the one I created. The version that speaks when others stay silent. The version that moves when others freeze. The version that burns when others chill to blend in. You were not meant to be neutral. You were not made to be safe. You were born to be holy. And holiness will always make you stand out. They will not know what to do with your passion. They will not be able to manage your freedom. They will question your fire. But your fire did not come from their altar. It came from mine, and I am the God who answers by fire. So let it burn. Let your obedience be louder than their opinions. Let your surrender speak louder than your performance. Let your yes echo through generations. You were not meant to echo trends. You were meant to carry timeless truth. And truth does not bow to culture. It stands even when it's mocked. It shines even when it's hidden. It conquers even when it bleeds. You were chosen for truth. You were built for war. You were anointed for now. Not when you're older. Not when you're more polished. Not when you're more acceptable. Now. So stand in it. Stand in your voice. Stand in your oil. Stand in your difference. I will use it to shake foundations. I will use it to open eyes. I will use it to set captives free. And they will ask, why you? And I will answer, because they would not fit in. They were set apart. Set apart not for status, but for service. Set apart not for applause, but for assignment. Set apart not to be praised, but to be poured out. You were not meant to be understood by everyone. Because your call did not come from everyone. It came from me. And what I call, I equip. What I equip, I protect. What I protect, I send. And I am sending you. Into the confusion with clarity. Into the noise with stillness. Into the pain with healing. You are not going alone. You are not going empty. You are not going weak. You are going with heaven's backing. You are going with my wind at your back. You are going with fire in your bones. So stop waiting for consensus. Stop asking for permission. Stop auditioning for a seat at tables I've called you to flip. You are not the echo. You are the sound. You are not the crowd. You are the calm. You are not the compromise. You are the covenant. Walk in it. Speak from it. Live like it. You will never fit in where you were meant to reform. You will never be embraced by what you've been called to confront. That is not rejection. That is revelation. I am revealing to you who you are. And I am revealing to them who I am, through you. When they mock, I will defend. When they plot, I will cover. When they resist, I will roar. Because you are not alone in this. I walk with reformers. I war with the bold. I dwell with the consecrated. So stay close. Keep burning. Keep building. Keep believing. What I began in you will not be buried by their disbelief. I will finish it, and it will be clear to all. You were never meant to fit in. You were always meant to lead out. They will try to mold you into something safer. They will try to edit your message until it no longer convicts. They will try to chain your fire in rituals and routines. But you were not born to be tame. You were born to carry my spirit. And where my spirit is, there is freedom. You've walked through fire so you can walk others through theirs. You've endured silence so you can be a voice. You've felt the weight so you can teach others how to carry it with grace. You are not disqualified by your scars. Your scars are proof that you lived through what tried to kill you. They are proof that my hand was on you even in the darkest valley. They are proof that you didn't just survive, you were shaped. Shaped for authority. Shaped for impact. Shaped for this very moment. So I say again, rise. Rise with clarity. Rise with conviction. Rise without apology. The world is desperate for authenticity. For holiness. For weight. And you carry it. Not because you chased it. But because I entrusted it to you. Not because you earned it. But because I saw your heart when no one else did. I saw you show up when no one clapped. I saw you pour out when no one thanked you. I saw you stay when others fled. And I have not forgotten. Now it's time. Time for the unveiling. Time for the release. Time for the sound to rise from your life that cannot be silenced anymore. You were not meant to fit in. You were meant to be a holy disruption. And nothing will stop what I have begun in you. Nothing about you is accidental. Not your voice. Not your fire. Not your solitude. Not even the seasons where you felt forgotten. Every step was carved by my hand. Every delay was divine. Every wilderness was a womb. You were never abandoned, you were becoming. And now, the veil is lifting. You are seeing clearly what you could only feel before. You don't fit because you were never meant to blend. You carry revelation that threatens religion. You carry truth that dismantles tradition. You carry love that refuses to perform. That is why doors closed. That is why people left. That is why the stage wasn't given. Because the sound I placed in you could not be prostituted for applause. It could not be diluted for trends. It could not be reshaped into something marketable. You are not marketable. You are uncontainable. You carry my breath. You echo eternity. You burn with ancient oil. You dream with prophetic vision. And the world cannot handle purity when it's drunk on performance. But you will not compromise. You will not bend. You will not adjust your anointing to make others comfortable. You will not dilute your assignment to make others applaud. You were born for truth. You were made for fire. You were built for collision. And now the sound is rising. The sound that won't be muted. The sound that won't be mocked. The sound that shakes structures and births new wineskins. You are part of a remnant. Not loud, but lethal. Not flashy, but holy. Not perfect, but possessed by purpose. You don't need to be louder than the noise. You just need to be clearer than the confusion. And you are, because you walk with me. And I am not a whisper in this hour. I am a thunder. And you are my echo. Walk like it. Pray like it. Speak like it. The time of hiding is over. The time of fitting in has expired. Now, the world will see what I have hidden. Now, they will hear what I whispered in the dark. Now, they will witness what I preserved in pain. Because I am revealing you. Not to elevate ego, but to release heaven. You were not meant to fit in. You were born to usher in a kingdom that cannot be shaken. There is a reason the fire never left your bones. There is a reason the vision never died, even when you tried to bury it. There is a reason the call kept echoing, even when you tried to run. You were never meant to disappear. You were never meant to be silent. You were never meant to blend into the background of broken systems. You were made to shine. And not with artificial light, but with my glory. Glory that costs something. Glory that crushes before it crowns. Glory that sanctifies before it sends. That is what you've been walking through. That is what the pain has been about. Not punishment, preparation. Not exile, equipping. Not rejection, refinement. So lift your head. Shake off the shame. Silence the lies. You have been tried by fire. And now you will be trusted with oil. This generation doesn't need another influencer. It needs an intercessor. It needs a voice that cannot be bought. A heart that cannot be swayed. A soul that cannot be seduced. You are that voice. Because I raised you in secret. I taught you in silence. I trained you in sorrow. And I am releasing you in strength. Not your strength, mine. Because the weight is too heavy for man's hands. But with me, you will run and not grow weary. You will walk and not faint. You will speak and not stutter. Because you were born for this. You were crafted for confrontation. You were woven for warfare. You were soaked in promise. And now, the hour has come. The moment is here. The world is groaning for the real. And you are the answer. Not because of your name, but because you carry mine. So rise. Release the sound. Walk the fire. Burn with truth. And do not look back. You were not meant to fit in. You were chosen to awaken what everyone else was too afraid to become. They said you were too much. Too loud. Too different. Too intense. But I never called you too much. I called you mine. I called you necessary. I called you timely. And I am not late. I release voices when the world thinks they least qualify. Because I do not move by man's standards. I do not choose the polished, I choose the willing. I do not call the strong, I strengthen the called. And you are called. You've always been called. Even when you doubted it. Even when you tried to deny it. Even when you hid it. You felt the ache because you were never built for normal. You felt the pressure because you carry power. You felt the fire because it was not just emotion, it was assignment. So stop running. Stop explaining. Stop minimizing what I have magnified in secret. I will bring you forth. I will place you where your sound matters. I will open doors that no man can shut. But I will do it on my terms. In my timing. By my spirit. So that when it comes, you will not boast in your network, your skills, or your hustle. You will boast in the Lord your God. Because you will know, it was never about fitting in. It was about standing apart. And now, my child, you will stand, tall, unshaken, uncompromised, unmovable. Because I have planted you. And what I plant, I water. And what I water, I grow. And what I grow, I protect. And what I protect, I release. Go, shine, speak. Do not dim. Do not delay. Do not doubt. You were not meant to fit in. You were destined to break the mold. Flip the tables. And carry my glory into places that forgot what it means to burn for something holy. I have not forgotten the nights you wept in silence. I have not ignored the prayers you whispered beneath your breath. I have not overlooked the sacrifices made in private. Every tear was seen. Every step was recorded. Every yes was holy. And I will honor it. You will not labor in vain. You will not obey in obscurity only to be buried in insignificance. What I have built in you will shake nations. Not through noise, but through weight. Not through hype, but through heaven. You carry more than words. You carry my spirit. And where my spirit is, there is liberty. Chains break. Walls fall. Giants bow. Because I do not dwell in performance. I dwell in surrender. That is where I found you. In the moments no one else applauded. In the valleys where you laid down your dreams and picked up your cross. In the shadows where you chose consecration over comfort. That is why I trust you. Not because you are flawless. But because you are faithful. Faithful with little. Faithful in silence. Faithful in weakness. Now I will make you ruler over what I promised. But remember, rulership is not about platform. It is about posture. The posture of the heart that kneels before it leads. The posture that serves before it speaks. The posture that chooses the altar over the stage. You were not created for lights. You were created for light. And light exposes. Light heals. Light disrupts. You are that light. You are that city on a hill. And the world will see. Not for your sake, but for mine. Because when they see you burn, they will know, it was never your fire. It was mine. And I have always burned in those who refuse to fit in. So walk now, not with hesitation, but with holy confidence. Walk like one who knows the throne backs their voice. Walk like one who knows the oil was not wasted. Walk like one who carries the roar of Zion. You were not set apart to sit silent. You were not preserved to play it safe. You were not refined to return to what I called you out of. You were born to reform. You were born to confront what others called normal. You were born to carry a weight that won't allow you to pretend. And you don't need their approval to move. You don't need their acceptance to stand. You don't need their understanding to obey. You have me. And I am more than enough. I am the same God who called Moses from the wilderness. The same God who took David from the field. The same God who found Gideon in hiding. The same God who lifted Joseph from the pit. And I am the same God calling you now, out from the shadows. Into the war. This is not a season of silence. This is a season of fire. This is a season of thundering truth. This is a season where the ones who refused to fit in will finally rise in clarity and command. You will not rise in pride. You will rise in posture. With hands open. With hearts pure. With vision sharp. You will not run alone. You will not burn out. You will not be overtaken. Because I am with you. And I go before you. And I war around you. And I dwell within you. You were never meant to fit in. You were meant to redefine what leadership looks like in an hour of compromise. They will see your fire and remember their own. They will hear your voice and feel the call again. They will watch your walk and remember their vow. You are not just rising for you. You are rising for the ones still hidden. The ones still afraid. The ones still waiting for permission. Let your life be the permission they've been praying for. You've waited long enough. You've doubted long enough. You've sat in the back row, shrinking from your mandate, long enough. Now I say to you, arise. Not in arrogance, in alignment, not to prove them wrong, but to prove me right. You don't have to rehearse this anymore. You don't have to convince yourself that you're ready. I have already declared you appointed. I have already declared you equipped. I have already declared you enough. And my declaration overrides every doubt. This is your commissioning. This is your release. This is your moment of movement. Walk into the rooms I open. Speak what I place on your tongue. Shift what I call you to confront. They won't understand, and that's okay. Obedience was never meant to be explained. It was meant to be executed. You owe no one an apology for being who I made you. You owe no one a watered-down version of your assignment. You owe no one your silence. You owe me your yes. And you have given it. Now walk it. Wear your difference as a mantle, not a wound. Wear your fire as a sign, not a liability. Wear your anointing as armor. Because what's ahead will require all of it. But you will not go alone. I have gone before you. I have surrounded you. I have sealed you. You are not a mistake. You are not disqualified. You are not forgotten. You are my answer in the earth. And your sound is needed now. So speak. So burn. So rise. You were not meant to fit in. You were chosen to break the silence. And your time has come. Let every fear be silenced now. Let every doubt be burned away. Let every voice that told you to blend in be drowned by the thunder of your calling. I have spoken. I have chosen. I have appointed. You are not a product of chance. You are a vessel of my choosing. The world will tell you to compromise. Heaven calls you to consecration. And you must decide where your allegiance lies. But as for me, I have set you apart. And I do not change my mind. So take your place. Lift your voice. Carry the weight. Shake the ground. You were not meant to fit in. You were born to shift the earth beneath your feet. And you will.